Alright people, welcome to the Critical Focus channel and today's edition of the Army Focus series, in which I will go over the army list for Khazad Dum and the Wanderers in the Wild. In the early years of Middle-earth, Durin, the father of the dwarfs, carved a home for his people from the rock of the Misty Mountains. This was to become Khazad Dum, the greatest of the dwarf holds in all of Middle-earth, and it boasted the dwarfs' greatest treasure hoard. The veins of the mountains flowed with mithril, the precious metal used to forge great weapons, armor, and other items of immense value, which cemented the hold's power and influence further. This army may include Durin, king of Khazad Dum, Mardin, Balin the dwarf, king of Moria, Floy Stonehand, dwarf kings, king's champions, dwarf captains, shield bearers, dwarf warriors, Khazad guard, iron guard, dwarf rangers, vault warden teams, and dwarf ballistae. The army bonus: the wealth of Moria lay not in gold or jewels, but in mithril. Friendly dwarf models with either the Khazad Dum or Moria keyword may reroll to a roll of a 1 when fighting in close combat. Let's get cracking with the heroes. First up we have Durin, king of Khazad Dum, for 160 points. He can't be upgraded with anything, so he'll just stay at 160. He's a hero of legend. He has 6 fight, 4 strength, 9 defense, 3 attacks, 3 wounds, 6 courage, 3-3-1 for his heroics. Can do the strike, defense, and challenge. He has heavy mithril armor, Durin's axe, the ring of Durin, the crown of kings, and the horn of Siraxigil. The Durin's axe means that he may reroll a single dice when making dual rolls. It's also Master Forge, so he doesn't suffer the penalty for two-handed weapons. He has the Ring of Durin, which allows him to reroll a single priority for the duration of the game. The Crown of King has a passive rule as well. If he suffers a wound, you roll a d6 on a 6 wounds naught, exactly as if a point of fate had been spent. The Horn of Siraxigil is a war horn, so +1 courage for all the models in the army. Additionally, it also gives Durin the Terror special rule, and he's himself fearless as well. If you include him, you can upgrade any Khazad guard in his warband with Hearthguard for +2 points per model, and they will then have the Burly special rule. Next up we have Mardin for 75 points, a hero of fortitude, fight 5, strength 4, 7 defense, 2 attacks, 2 wounds, 5 courage, 3-1-1 for heroics, equipped with dwarf armor and Torosur, which is a foe spear, which has the Trollbane special rule. Additionally, he may add +1 when rolling to wound against monster models, and he can do the heroic strength, heroic action, and he has the Sworn Protector Durin special rule. Next up we have Floy Stonehound for 75 points, also a hero of fortitude, with 1-3-1 for heroics, 4 fight, strength 6, 6 defense, 2 attacks, 2 wounds, and 5 courage. If you include Floy, then the only other named hero from this list that it may contain is Balin, the dwarf king of Moria. Then we have his war gear, which includes heavy dwarf armor and staff, and he has the Lore Master active rule. At the start of his move, Floy can spend a will point, and he has 3, to negate an enemy active or passive special rule or the effects of a piece of war gear, with the exception of the One Ring, until the end of the turn. There is no range for this ability, but Floy must have line of sight in order to use it. And then he has also the passive The Living Lore special rule. Each time a friendly Moria dwarf model slays an enemy hero or monster, Floy immediately recovers a point of will spent early in the battle. Then we have Balin, the dwarf king of Moria, for 110 points. He has a fight of 6, a strength of 4, defense 8, 2 attacks, 2 wounds, and 6 courage, and he has his hero of legend with 3-3-1 for heroics, but if you include him, you may not include any other named hero mods from the kingdom of Khazad Dum except Floy Stonehand. Additionally, if your army contain Balin, you may include Ori, Oin, Champion, they're both champions of Erebor, from the Erebor Reclaimed army list, and you can also include Gimli, son of Gloin, from the Fellowship army list as heroes of fortitude for the time being. If your army has Balin as its leader, then you may wish to change the name of the army list to the Kingdom of Moria instead. Ori, the dwarf champion of Erebor, Oin, champion of Erebor, Gimli, son of Gloin, dwarf kings, kings champions, dwarf captain, etc. will change their Erebor and Khazad Dum keyword to have Moria keyword instead. Also, if you include Balin, then every alliance will be impossible allies, as contact was lost following Balin's triumph in Moria. He has a Durian's Axe special active rule, which we have already discussed. And he also has the Longbeard special rule, which means that in the priority phase, he may spend a will point to enable his side to reroll their d6 in the priority roll. And he can do that Resolve, March, Strike, and Defense special heroic actions. Then we have Dwarf Kings for 75 points. They are Heroes of Fortitude with 2/1 for Heroics, 6 Fight, Strength 4, Defense 8, 2 attacks, 2 wounds, 6 Courage, equipped with heavy dwarf armor and an axe. And you have the option to take throwing axes for 5 points and two-handed axe for 5 points. And they can do the Resolve and March heroic actions. Then we have Dwarf Captains for 60 points, also Heroes of Fortitude, 2/1 for Heroics, 2 wounds, 2 attacks, all that jazz. Dwarf armor and axe included, shield, throwing axes, and two-handed actions for options as 5 points each. Then we have King's Champion, which is an interesting model. It includes the King's Champion and 2 heralds. And they have kind of like a shield wall special rule. It's called the Herald's Duty. When 2 heralds or the King's Champion and a herald are in base contact, they receive +1 bonus to the defense. If all 3 are clumped together, they receive +2 instead. And they can do Heroic Strike and Heroic Strength, or like the King's Champion can do it at least. And the Champion has 2/1 for Heroics with a fight of 6, a strength of 5, a defense of 7, 3 attacks, 2 wounds, and 5 courage. The Heralds are fight 4, strength 4, defense 7, 1 attack, 1 wound, 4 courage, and 0/1/2 for Heroics. The Champion is equipped with 2 axes, and the Heralds are equipped with axe and banner and shields. And they have the Herald's Duty special rule as well, and also the Life Guard, so they can spend their will point on the King's Champion's behalf, but they can't take wounds on the King's behalf, as long as they are in base contact, I should also add. Then we have Shield Bearers, which are minor heroes, for 60 points, fight 5, strength 4, defense 8, 2 attacks, 2 wounds, 4 courage, 1/0/0 for Heroics, equipped with dwarf armor, shield, and axe. And they have the In Defense of the King, which is a very lengthy rule. At the start of the game, nominate a single dwarf hero model with the highest heroic tier for the shield bearer to protect. If the nominated hero is engaged in a fight within 3 of the shield bearer, then the shield bearer may call a heroic combat without using might. If the heroic combat is successful, then they must use the following move to join the nominated hero model's combat. If this is not possible, then the shield bearer must move as close as possible to that hero model. If you have more than one shield bearer, they may both protect different hero models. Just remember to make it clear to your opponent which shield bearer is protecting which hero. Whew. Then we have the lead by example passive special rule as well. Friendly dwarf models within 12 of the shield bearer may reroll failed courage test. Then we have the warriors, 8 points each, fight 4, strength 3, dwarf armor and axe, defense 6, and they can take a shield to have 7 defense, otherwise they are kind of standard. They can take warhorns, banners, and take bows as well. And they can also swap their axe for 200 axe plus a dagger. And we have Khazad Guard, which are like elite infantry for 11 points each. They have strength 4, so a peg up from the warriors. And they have heavy dwarf armor, so they are, even without the shield, they have better defense. So 2-handed axes, and they have bodyguard special rule. Then we have Iron Guard as well. And Khazad Guard are the guys who can kind of upgrade if you have Durin as the leader, right? Yeah, so if you take them as half guard, they will have the burly special rule. Yeah. Next up we have Iron Guards, so 15 points each. They have dwarf armor, swords, and throwing axes. They are defense 6, fight 4, strength 4, 2 attacks, 1 wound. So not so defensive, but very good attacks. I mean, not so defensive for being dwarfs, but still 6 defense is very good. And then we have dwarf rangers for 8 points each, 3+ on the bow. But you have to buy the bow for them, so pay attention to that. It's not included, even though the model has it. And they can also take throwing axes and 2-handed axes, and they have the Mountain Dweller special rule. And then we have the Vault Warden team for 25 points. That includes 1 Iron Shield and 1 Foe Spear model. The Iron Shield will have a defense 9, and the Foe Spear will have defense 6. And they have kind of some interesting special rules here. The Iron Shield has the Iron Shield passive rule. A model armed with the shield cannot be barged or hurled and is unaffected by the Ren brutal power attack. And it also has the Spear and Shield passive rule. Unless supported by a model with a foe spear, a model with an Iron Shield applies -1 penalty to their dual rolls, even when shielding. So they kind of depend upon each other. Then the foe spear will have the active special rule that this is a war spear when supporting a model with an Iron Shield. And that means that they are kind of +1 to wound on the charge. And they are also +1 when rolling to wound monsters as well. And I guess that stacks. Then we have Dwarf Ballista bringing up the rear in this army list for 60 points. Which is obviously a siege engine with a strength of 9, defense 10 and 3 wounds. And it includes 2 crew members. And one of them will automatically be the siege veteran, and we can also upgrade the siege veteran to be the dwarf engineer captain for 60 points. And you can also take flaming ammunition for 15 points, and you can take an additional crew for 8 points each. And it has the special rule piercing shot. If a shot from a ballista hits a battlefield target, and it has 4+ on the hit, then they will suffer 1 strength 9 hit. Additionally, if the target are strength 5 or lower, they will be knocked prone and flung d6 directly away. Any model that the target passes over will also be knocked prone and suffer 1 strength 6 hit. So quite nasty. If the target comes into contact with a piece of impassable terrain or a model that has higher strength, then it will immediately stop and be knocked prone, and then the target and the obstacle will suffer the strength 6 hit then. And it also has the accurate keyword, which means that the dwarf ballista will only scatter 3 rather than 6, which is kind of standard for these siege engines. That's it for Khazad Dum, so quite a few flavorful models here to choose from. I'll also very quickly go over the Wanderers in the Wild, which is just a weird list. It's not really something that you play a lot. You can maybe ally Tom or Goldberry in to mess up other people's plans, but they're just weird. And if you want to have friends, you probably shouldn't play them. But anyway, there are those beings in Middle-earth that play no part in the kingdoms or in the armies and do not participate in the wars of others. Some of these beings are quite content to live out their lives, settle in peaceful homesteads, while others wander the many paths and realms of Middle-earth, either for enjoyment or out of their sense of adventure. This army may include Tom Bombadil, Goldberry, and Murin and Darar. Wanderers in the Wild represent the strange and mysterious folk who do not fit into any army list, and as such are not represented as an army on the allies matrix. Each profile in the Wanderers in the Wild will state which army they can ally with and what level of alliance they will be. So it's not really an army. Army bonus, it's not really an army, so it doesn't have an army bonus. So first up we have Murin and Dwar, which are a couple of dwarfs, Iron Hill dwarfs. They are 140 for the pair. Murin has a fight of 5, strength 4, defense 8, 2 attacks, 2 wounds, 5 courage, 3/1/1. It's equipped with dwarf armor, shield, and kalasal, which is a sword, and has the active special rule that he receives +1 to when making strikes against orc, goblins, or urkhais, and he can do the heroic strike. Special heroic action, and Drar is more of a ranger type. He has defense 7. He has this expert shot special rule, and he can take the heroic accuracy, heroic action. And he has 2 attacks, 2 wounds, 3/1/1 for heroics. And as far as allies go, they are historical allies with Minas Tirith, so long as the army contains Kirion, Lieutenant of Amon Barad, and they are like convenient allies with a lot of other stuff from the good army list. Tom Bombadil is 160 point, and he can't be upgraded in any way, shape or form. He has a fight, strength, defense, attack, wound, and courage, might, and a will score of question mark. And Goldberry will have the same, I can say already now, so that we don't have to repeat that process. He has a will point of 15. He's just weird. He treats all terrain as open, and he will automatically pass all tests for like jumping and climbing and swimming and stuff like that. He can't be charged. He can't be hit by medical attacks or ranged attacks. He will automatically win fights he's involved with, but he can't make any strikes, and he can't be dealt strikes basically. And he can never carry objectives and stuff like that, so he's just weird. He has the passive rule, hey come Meridol. He must give up a point of will at the end of each turn, but he has 15 to spare, so come on. Should Tom Bombadil be reduced to 0 will, or there are no other friendly models other than himself and Goldberry, then he will simply wander back home. remove the model as a casualty, and he can do the refreshing song, 3-inch medical power on a 2+, and banishment for 6 range, 3+. He's convenient allies with all good army lists. Yeah, so yeah, it's just super weird. And Goldberry is basically just all the same. I can't really be bothered. If you want to include Goldberry, you have to include Tom as well. And she's also convenient allies with every good army list, obviously. But she only has 1 medical power, the refreshing song. So it's basically for those medical powers, and in fact, if you want to kind of negate any damage, I mean, I really don't know why you would include them for any other reason but to mess with. I would be very interested to see them in a battle report. So maybe I'll try to find a battle report with these guys included to see what use they are. Because I'm actually intrigued to see what they can do. Yeah, so that's it for all the good army lists. We have covered Khazad Dum today, and we have covered the weird army list, which is not really an army list, the Wanderers in the Wild. Yeah, that's it. And next time, I'm going to start the evil armies of the Middle-earth with Barad-dûr, and obviously the first model there will be the Dark Lord Sauron. So, looking forward to moving over to the darker side of things. Thanks for following along on this massive army walkthrough series here. Hope that the audio was quite a lot better today, as I've just invested in a new mic and also actually a new computer. So hopefully things will brighten up as we go along here. And so make sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment, and hit that sweet bell button as to not miss out any further content. Take care out there.